confession to make. I snore. In fact, I come from a long and distinguished line of snorers. But about 2 years ago, my wife informed me that my snoring had gotten much worse, and I needed to go see a doctor and get a sleep study done. Now, because I always promptly listen to my wife's requests, about 6 months later, I went to see my ENT, Dr. Martino. Dr. Martino did a sonogram of my neck, and afterwards, as I was wiping the gel off, he said, "The size, shape, and coloration of your lymph nodes is inconsistent with what we typically see in a benign growth." I'll always remember that conversation with Dr. Martino because it both changed my life and saved my life. My talk today is not about my throat cancer. It's not about trying to stay alive. This talk is about my need to thrive after cancer treatment and about the approach I took to get there. For me, it was my experience with martial arts, specifically with board breaking. So, in this talk, I'm going to share with you a little more about my cancer journey. Then I'm going to take you to the dojo for a karate lesson on breaking boards. And then we're going to see how that lesson can be used for more than just board breaking. As I said, this talk is not about my cancer, but I need to tell you more about my journey so you have a frame of reference. In February of 2018, the good Dr. Martino found a 3-centimeter tumor on my right vocal cord. 3 centimeters is the size of a medium strawberry, which is pretty big. It's in your throat. I was diagnosed with stage 4 HPV-mediated squamous cell carcinoma. This is a pretty aggressive cancer, and I was told I would be dead by July if I didn't do anything about it. Now, good news. The good news is the treatment had a 92% success rate. I would be going through 7 weeks of radiation and chemotherapy. I was also told I would have the chance to have a total laryngectomy, a full removal of my voice box. My oncologist said I would be going through the worst of the cancer treatments. Imagine the worst sunburn you have ever had on the inside and the outside of your throat. He likened it to running a marathon. My body would be working so hard every day after radiation treatment that it would be trying to recover just as if my body had run a marathon that day. In fact, he said, in order to help my body combat this, I would need to consume 2,400 calories a day, when the last thing in the world I was going to want to do was swallow anything. I would have an 18-month recovery, and every day I did not get those 2,400 calories would add 1 more month to that recovery. My oncologist told me a lot of very accurate things, but he told me one thing that didn't happen. Just before my treatment started, he told my wife he's going to ask you to let him quit. I never asked to quit. Thank you. What my oncologist didn't know is that I had been taught not to quit. And I had been taught that in the dojo. In karate, it's so important to find a good teacher. And we were very fortunate to find Grandmaster Jim Snowberger, not only an expert in martial arts, but a Marine veteran of Vietnam. This man knew how to persevere. This is my daughter Kim and I with our sensei, which is karate teacher. We learned a lot about karate. But for this talk, what is important is what we learned about board breaking. And that is commitment to the power and the speed necessary to break the board, and to the forms that you can take or the techniques to break through a board, using your fist, your palm, your head, whatever it takes, committing to those techniques. But as important as all those are, what you need first and foremost is what I call a fearless focus. When you're breaking board, it's easy to think that the board itself is your goal. It's not. The board is an obstacle. In board breaking, we had a phrase that we called parachuting. When a student was coming up to break the board, you could see in their mind that they were just starting to think that this is going to hurt. And it's like a parachute deployed out of the back of their hand, slowing their fist down like the parachute on the back of a drag racer. Now the great irony is, board breaking only hurts when you don't break the board. All the force of your punch bounces off that board back into your hand, and that hurts. If you actually break the board, all that force is distributed through the exploding board, and your hand is fine. It was always easy to identify the students who were probably going to have trouble by looking at where their focus was when they approached the board. Because if they were looking at the board, they were thinking about how much it was going to hurt. If their focus was on the other side of the board, they were probably going to be successful. Your goal in board breaking is to get your fist or your foot on the other side of the board, or to hit the person who's holding it. The board is just an obstacle that's in your way. Perhaps the most important thing that our sensei taught us is that the only time you fail is when you quit. And if you never quit, you never fail. The key to not failing are these wonderful people that we call the holders. Those people who hold the board for you so that when you hit it, it doesn't go flying across the room. This is 3 of us holding the board for one person attempting their first break. These holders are your encouragers. They're the ones who have already done this. They can tell you, you can do this. And this is how. And because these are people you like and you care for, they also become your accountability team. If you don't want to break that board for yourself, then you're going to break it so that you don't disappoint these people who are standing behind you. Now, can we apply this for something other than breaking boards? My cancer journey, my treatment journey, ran from February to April 2018. This is the radiation machine that I came to know and love. As I was preparing for this, I knew I wanted a team around me that could help me get to where I wanted to be. Not just staying alive, but I wanted to thrive on the other side. I researched, I got references, I ended up with what I think is a team that is second to none. A team that I felt could get me through these treatments, still with an ability to talk. They were also clear with what I knew already from martial arts is that I needed to focus. Shortly before I was diagnosed with cancer, my oldest son had gotten engaged to a fabulous young lady, and they had asked me to perform their wedding ceremony. Their wedding was scheduled for August, about 4 months after my last radiation treatment. In order to do that, I had to be able to do 2 things. 1, I had to be able to travel 14 hours. And 2, I needed to be able to talk. So it wasn't good enough for me just to survive cancer and cancer treatments. I needed to come out on the other side thriving well enough that I could make a 14-hour drive and be able to talk when I got there. Every morning, while I was going through treatments, I would get up, go out to the kitchen, and take a look at their engagement picture on the refrigerator. This was my focus. I didn't focus on chemotherapy. I didn't focus on radiation. I kept my focus here. This was where I needed to be. To get there, I needed to do what my teachers had told me. And the biggest one of those items was that 2,400 calories a day when I had a severe sunburn inside my throat. This is a spreadsheet. You can't make it out very well from where you are. You don't need to. But I tracked every single day how many calories I consumed. I tracked my weight every day. Does this approach work? The week before my final radiation treatment, I sat down with my oncologist for a checkup. He went through all of my numbers. He checked my weight, and he said, "You've gained weight." No one gains weight. They do if you have the right focus. You also need some help to not quit. I made a decision right away that I was going to share my journey, my obstacles, my goals with friends and family. So I did so on social media. The daughter of a friend of ours had a printing business, and she made up some Skiles strong shirts. And she sent us $5 for every shirt that she sold, which was wonderful and greatly appreciated. But the real value was that a week or two later, I started getting these. There's somebody up here I don't know. If you're going through a struggle, you're trying to achieve a goal, and you have obstacles to get through, and you have a team like this behind you, are you not more likely to persevere than if you were just doing it by yourself? There's no way I was letting all of these people down. Did it work? These are my kids and my new daughter-in-law. I drove the entire 14 hours. I needed a microphone to be heard. But it was a beautiful way. Whenever we have a worthy goal, we're going to have obstacles. To achieve my goal, I had to beat cancer. I had to be alive to get there. But if we truly have a worthy goal, the odds are we're going to have more than one obstacle. Chemotherapy brings its own set of challenges. It brought weakness, dizziness. But if you've ever been through what I was through or know somebody who has, you know the real beast is radiation. It zaps your body's strength, makes it difficult to do the very things that you need to do to be successful. When we are committed to the techniques taught to us by the experts, when we keep our focus not on the obstacles, but where we want to be on the other side, and when we have a spirit and a team that will not let us quit, the obstacles don't stand a chance.